Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a great Thursday. I know I am. Day off from work and getting to talk to you. Today we're going to be covering yet again Think Tank, who is now talking about how Iceland is the first country to outlaw gender-based pay. Now, are they crazy? Or has this already been done? Anyways, if you like what I do on my channel here, please subscribe. Check out my links below to all my social media platforms, as well as my brand new Patreon. Let's dive right into this interesting video.
Iceland is officially the first country to make it illegal to pay men more than women.
You serious?
Now, the country implemented a new law on Monday that will make it illegal for male employees to be paid more than women doing the same job. So as of January 1st, the legislation said that any company or government agency with 25 or more staff members will have to obtain government certification of their equal pay policies.
Seriously, are you dense, Hannah? Does Think Tank even do research before they talk about anything? What I'm talking about is the Equal Pay Act of 1963 signed by President Kennedy. Now, in this act, it says that men and women cannot be paid differently for the same position using the same skills and responsibilities. So men and women of the same role are not paid differently at all.
So I want to clarify this, and then we can get into a discussion about it, right? So obviously in the United States, we have laws against gender discrimination, and oftentimes that can play out in terms of pay, right? And so that is, we have that in the system.
Not only gender discrimination, but the Equal Pay Act. It's been around a long time.
That said, it's not the same as what we're looking at here, because this is a different sort of proactivity that is put on these companies. So what they do essentially is they have to give this information to the government to then get a certificate that they are following the guidelines. Now, obviously, we don't have that in the United States because we still have a huge gender pay gap.
You're an idiot!
We have a huge gender pay gap around the world.
So I'm looking at Glassdoor's March 2016 research report entitled Demystifying the Gender Pay Gap, Evidence from Glassdoor's Salary Data. There's a link to the full report in the description. It says, based on more than 505,000 salaries shared by full-time US employees on Glassdoor, men earn 24.1% higher base pay than women on average. In other words, women earn about 76 cents per dollar men earn. This is consistent with official sources that show women earn on average 75 to 80 cents per dollar earned by men. However, comparing workers with similar age, education and years of experience shrinks that gap to 19.2%. Further, comparing workers with the same job title, employer and location, the gender pay gap in the US falls to 5.4%, 94.6 cents per dollar. We find a similar pattern in all 5 countries we examined, a large overall or unadjusted gender pay gap which shrinks to a smaller adjusted pay gap once statistical controls are added. And as we can see on this handy chart, the adjusted gender pay gap in Australia is a mere 3.9%.
No, we don't have a wage gap, Hannah. Take a look at jobs in the same position, same skills, and same responsibilities, and you'd see that the reason why there's this mythological wage gap is because women work an average of 35 hours and men work an average of 41.5 hours. So overtime pay and an additional 5 hours of regular pay. You can't use the fact that men work more against them. You cannot use those stats side by side with each other, because if men and women were working the exact amount of hours, then there would be an issue, but they aren't. Men are working 6.5 more hours per week than women. Also, your co-host, he looks bored as hell and does not want to be there.
But Iceland is already #1 in trying to reduce that inequality. The United States is 59.
It's higher than they are at math. I think they're much lower than that.
It's probably true.
And everything else, healthcare.
Yeah.
Iceland is like top bracket for a lot of things.
Yeah, Iceland, I mean, well, yes. And part of that is because they have a lot of women in power. They're they have the most female representation in the government.
Oh, sure. That sounds great.
And so they're reducing this inequality, and they want to get rid of the pay gap by 2022, which is amazing.
Position 59 based on what? Are these stats looking at the same exact job, same position, same amount of responsibilities and hours worked? Probably not, because that would destroy the feminist narrative of the gender wage gap.
I mean, we covered a story a few weeks ago where we said that the worldwide pay gap won't be closed for another like 250 years probably. Now, a board member of the Icelandic Women's Rights Association told Al Jazeera that the legislation is a mechanism to ensure women and men are paid equally. She added that Iceland has had legislation in place saying men and women should be paid equally for decades, but a gender pay gap has persisted. So similar to kind of what we have in America. The legislation is basically a mechanism that companies and organizations evaluate every job that's being done, and then they get a certification after they confirm the process if they're paying men and women equally.
Yeah. If you could just go ahead and make sure you do that from now on, that would be great. And I'll go ahead and make sure you get another copy of that memo. Okay?
Does this take into consideration merit and skill? A recently hired man and woman should not make more or equal to a person who's been in the same role for years or has years of experience. That is just not how it will work, and it shouldn't work that way. Merit and experience are just as important, if not more important, than the gender of the person.
So as of now, like if you assume that there is a gender pay gap within your company, like you can bring it to HR, you can bring it to a court or something like that. But it's really going to be on a more individual basis.
Yeah.
Whereas in this situation, this is set up by the government, and you have to do this if you want to have a company.
That's what we need, right, Hannah? More government control you communists keep trying to push for.
And so that's a whole different scheme that I hope to see work out.
Well, it's important that they're looking to kind of cover all different areas involved, because as we've seen here, there has been laws put in place, but with every law, there's loopholes, and incentive programs have been one that has been largely in favor of men in positions of power in comparison to women in positions of power in a company, where incentives and bonuses of studies that came out by Harvard not long ago, I think it was like 2 years ago, that showed that incentives for men and their bonus structure were higher. So we're paid equally, but we'll give you more bonuses. So
you're not just wrong, you're stupid. Now wait just a minute. And you're ugly, just like your mum.
No, you're going to see merit go out the door in Iceland. Merit won't matter anymore. And these people are going to be livid. You're going to see men and women in the same position pissed off because their skill level and expertise is now discredited because of the fact that they have to match pay if it's a woman in the same position as a man, or a currently working there woman who has the experience and time in the position.
They've focused on this issue, which has been decades in the making, to make sure that it's harder to roll back and to put these laws in place. It's only a step in the right direction. I'm sure more countries in the Scandinavian area will follow.
Are you sure about that?
I'm sure that'll happen. It will just take 250 years before the US catches on. And by that time, I'm not sure if you'll be around.
Your wage gap myth will take 250 years worldwide, not in the US, because it does not exist in the US. That is why there are laws and statutes on the book against this. The Equal Pay Act of 1963 being the example that says exactly what Iceland's current law says. You won't be able to use your generic cross-board stats because individuals do not pick equally skill required and amount of demand jobs. If you're using cross-board stats that include all positions, that's ridiculous. You have a doctor and a fast food worker on equal playing ground. Why are you guys trying to use stats like this?
Yeah, no, I think this is extremely important, and I like that when they were talking about closing the gender pay gap, something that they focused on that I think a lot of people don't focus on, and I think it's left out of the conversation, is the fact that closing the gender pay gap, making sure that women are paid equally, does not only help women, it helps the entire economy, it helps the entire society. It allows for a richer economy. It allows for a more educated society. There are so many benefits and compounding benefits that come into play when women are paid equally to their male counterparts. So this is important. I hope to see other countries follow suit. We won't see the United States follow suit for at least another 3 to 8 years, or 3 to 7 years.
But you'll be around by then.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
The reason that bad things happen to you is because you're a dumbass.
It's not real. It's not going to enrich anything. What you'll see is if in the 8 years that you're claiming the US will go to the point of, oh, there's no wage gap anymore and nothing's going to change at all. Once women start working 41.5 hours per week, you're gonna see this mythological wage gap that you guys rely on so much disappear. Until then, go ahead and keep lying about the gender wage gap. Doesn't help you. We're not idiots out here. We can add up the stats ourselves and look at equal positions. If you like what I do here, please subscribe and like the video. All my links are down below, which include Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the brand new Patreon to help me get an editor. I am grateful for you watching through this video and hope you have a great day and great rest of your week. See you guys soon.